and Tasty Cakes podcast. I'm Bert Lepore. He's Samuel Monte Carlo. We're hanging here with Angry Mike D, and we talk about music, movies, and so much more.
All right, we are back with another episode of Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes. Part 2 of episode 141 or whatever.
Yeah.
These are going to be our 10 picks, each individually, of like Desert Island Records. And, I think we could all agree that this stuff changes like day to day, hour to hour.
As you're doing it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I already changed it like 3 times.
Yeah, it's hard. It's right, Mike, you were saying it's harder than you think it would be.
Yeah.
It is. But so at this moment, if we only had 10 albums to take with us for the rest of our life, what would they be? And right now, this is what we picked for the moment. They're not in any order. We're going to be all over the place. So it's not like, number 1 to 10. It's just going to be 10 albums. Mm-hmm. And the only thing we eliminated was greatest hits records. You could use live records, no greatest hits. That was the only rules.
Yeah, I didn't do live
we
record.
bent it with live a little bit. I did at least.
I didn't.
You didn't? No, I'm the only one who used live records, huh?
Bert makes the rules and breaks them.
Bang for my buck. I want to get a little bang for my buck.
Man,
okay,
right.
so so this is going to be, Mean Dame might be close in the area. Mike, I can't wait to hear what Mike's got. So
we're gonna hear a top 20 Kiss from these two.
No, listen, I'll tell you what. I didn't use any multiple picks for the band. I actually kept it. I was going to.
I could have used 2 or 3, but I used 1.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. But all right, let's start this off. Dane, what would you take with you?
All right, out of these 10, there's like I think like maybe 3 of the 10 I've had them in my. Like I used to do these lists all the time in my brain for years and years. So 3 of them were always there and will always be there. So what do you want? You just want me to do
one at a time? We'll do one at a time. No, let's do one at a time and talk about it. And give me a little why, kind of.
Yeah. Well, Kiss Revenge, because it was I was really into into music when I was like, in like the mid to late 80s. Then like around 1990 ish, I kind of got more into like hockey, like sports. Still listen to music. It was like, but that was sort of like, there wasn't like a priority for me. So it was like hockey and wrestling I was really into. And then when this album came out in early 92, it like pushed everything to the back burner and made music number 1 for me, like my number 1 priority. So Kiss Revenge was the record that kind of brought me back in to music being, the big, huge thing of my life. So on top of that, I think it's like a great, I wouldn't call it a comeback record, but it's a return to their former attitude, not so much sound. I mean,
it's got more guts.
It's got more balls. It's kind of reminiscent to probably like the earlier Kiss records. You want to throw a little Creatures of the Night in there, whatever, but it's back to them being them, and it's not trying to be like some other bands and that were popular at the time, like the Bon Jovis and all that stuff they went through in the 80s. So, but I think it's a great record, top to bottom. It's probably my favorite Kiss record, and because of all those reasons, that's why I have it on my Desert Island.
Mike D.
Yeah, man, it's like no rhyme or reason, but this is an album, I mean, I had from when I was like a kid, and I just never stopped listening to it. It always finds its way back in, and that's Megadeth, Rust in Peace.
And any highlights on the record for you?
I mean, I would go with Hangar 18. I mean, this is just one of those albums I can listen to straight through, and I feel like there's no clunkers on it,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's a real good record. I mean, they're probably my favorite song is on that record. Holy Wars, I think, is their best song for me. All right, so I'm going to go with Kiss Alive 2. I had this record before I had Alive 1.
Yeah, me too.
You see, yeah, that's crazy. This was my first one. Not my first Kiss record. My first Kiss record was Destroyer. But this is my first live record. So I had Alive 2 before Live 1. I love all 3 sides of the record. The 4th side, I wish they would have put Rocket Ride on a different record, and I wish they would have made this record completely live. You know, because some songs are missing on it that should be on there, and yeah, but it's classic Kiss. I mean, I think it's a must-have. You know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Damo, what you got next on your list?
Another one, just like Revenge, it's always been on my list as long as I can remember, is Appetite for Destruction. I think it's one of the greatest records ever recorded, probably the greatest debut album ever recorded, without a doubt. It's just such a great record, man. I mean, what can you say about it? It's one of those records that definitely changed. You know, like people say Nevermind and other records, but this is definitely one of them that kind of just like changed a lot, you know. And you know, they were like I was really into Bon Jovi then, and then Guns N' Roses became my obsession. At that
my
point,
bad
you know?
obsession.
Yeah.
No pun intended. My bad
but
obsession.
it's still, you know, I could turn it on anytime, you know, and I'll listen to it. A lot of times I'll just skip over and just start. I'll just skip Welcome to the Jungle and just start.
It's just because you hear him so much. That's all that.
But
is.
yeah, but sometimes I do listen to it because it's like, you know what? I haven't heard it in a while, so let me put it on, and it's just like, you know, still don't even get sick of it. But yeah, it's one of the best records ever.
Yep. Mike D?
I'm going to go with Mars Volta, Francis the Mute. And I remember just hearing it was on, I guess, like one of those music matches. They threw the single out for The Widow. I'm like, wow, it's a pretty cool song. And then I remember I saw the album come out in the store. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to pick it up and take a chance. The rest of it was nothing like The Widow. I mean, this is just boom, in your face, prog. It's got the Spanish tones to it. I mean, this album takes you on a journey, and I don't think I could be without this one.
Okay. For me, since Damo mentioned it already, so I'm going to second Appetite for Destruction. Wow. When this first came out, there was nothing like it. Nothing like it. I mean, like you said, they talk about Nevermind kind of like moving everything. I think Appetite the same thing, you know. The old joke, me and my friends used to say, Axl's hair went from here to here immediately. You know, it went from like Hanoi Rocks to boom. And that was the change in music, but they were really the start of that change, I think. There was so much attitude on that first record. It's like, how could you not like it? Every song was good. That's an album, the top to bottom album, no skips. Mm-hmm. Every song's good. The first time I really heard the octave voice being utilized, which I love. I never heard anything like it. Yeah, he had the high-pitched voice, but it wasn't like the operatic high-pitched voice. It was a whole... He
sounded like a different singer.
Nobody sounded like that guy. And then when he did the deep parts, sounding more than one person, vocally, I think it's fucking brilliant. And music-wise, it's got so much attitude to it. So Appetite for Destruction is definitely one of my go-to records. Still one of the greatest records ever made. Okay, Damo, what you got?
I got Def Leppard Hysteria. Dude, I think people just love to shit on it. You know, they always say, "Oh yeah, early Def Leppard records are great, but you know, it went downhill after once they did Hysteria." Well,
everybody owns that record. Come on.
Yeah, it's like you're not gaining cool points with anyone. It's a great fucking album. I mean, it's like the Sgt. Pepper of the 80s, I think. The way it was recorded, anyone who talks shit like that should go and watch that Ultimate Albums episode where the documentary on how they recorded that. And I think it would kind of like make them see it in a different light. I mean,
absolutely.
You know, it's just every song is great. And even the ones that aren't towards the end, you know, you might call them clunkers or whatever, like some of the B-side songs are still really good tracks.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just, again, probably one of the greatest records, hard rock albums, whatever you want to call it, definitely of that decade, you know, and just the whole sound of it, it still sounds like ahead of its time to me.
Listen, the progression, you know, I'll say this every time we talk about Def Leppard, it's 3 records in a row for me, which is a great little run there. And you can see the progression with each record. You know, going from, I would say, High and Dry, great record. Pyromania, even better record. Mm-hmm. And then you go to Hysteria. I mean, it's like a greatest hits record.
Yeah,
it's
those
crazy.
3, that's like a great run.
They're the 3.
You know, some people could even throw the first record, but I'm not really too crazy about
the first record. I don't feel, you know, it's the 2, 3, and 4 records that I think are brilliant.
That's how I feel.
and they barely missed my list, but they're close over there. Mike D, what you got?
I'm going with, and I know you guys aren't into it, but I'm going with Cardiacs on the Land and in the Sea. And it's probably came out, I'm going to say probably around like 89. I didn't get into this until maybe like early 2000s. How do you explain it? This band sort of created a new genre of music, which is considered prog, sort of a combination between punk rock and prog music. So that's what you're kind of in for. And it's as I could say, it's probably a tough listen for some people, and other people, it's just gonna blow their heads. This album was probably the last they put out before they lost their horn section and they lost their keyboardist. So this was like almost like an end of the era for them. And as this sound, but then they came back with a whole fresh new sound afterwards, and we'll see.
Okay, I have Danzig Lucifuge. It's my favorite Danzig record. It's the second record. Man, it's my favorite Danzig lineup. It's that classic Danzig lineup.
Yeah.
Man, what a great record. Every song, I love every song. I mean, it's definitely one of my go-to records. When I put it on, I go, wow, I love this record. Yeah, even you were saying, Dame, that's definitely your favorite lineup too, right?
Oh yeah,
the classic Danzig.
It's the only lineup that matters, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what's at the first four records, really?
Yeah,
first four Danzig records,
and even the fifth one I could go with when they had Joey Castillo playing drums.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, Danzig Lucifuge, man, it's such a good record. I was heavily and I'm still in the Danzig, but I was heavily in the Danzig at that point. Yeah, I love it, man. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, man. And it's funny that Damien actually had me here the other day. He played me a song from Kim Petras, one of those newer, artists. And he's like, what's this riff? And I'm listening to it. I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't thinking nowhere near it. He plays it, and then he plays Devil's Plaything. And I'm like, oh my God, it's the same thing. Same melody. I'm like, they totally ripped it off.
They had to.
It's too close to it. Yeah, it's way too close to it. So, Danzig Lucifuge. Great record. Check it out. Damo, what you got next?
I got another Kiss record. Because I didn't add any greatest hits, or I didn't add live records. So,
wait, can I guess it before you say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Dress to Kill.
No, I didn't.
Oh wow,
I didn't add Dress to Kill. Even and it's funny. So like Dress to Kill is probably my favorite Kiss record, but for Desert Island, I had to go with Destroyer because there's so many classic songs on there. I just wanted to go that, and it also brings me back to a certain time also.
Yeah,
for memory. So that played a big part in there for me.
Okay. Mike D.
Next, and I'm going to go with Type O Negative's Dead Again. And I know this is probably like the band's, maybe as far as their fans are concerned, their least favorite album. To me, I don't know, man. This one it's got that spacey feel. It's got little Beatles parts in it. It just, to me, it seems like just everything comes together of what they did on the previous albums in this one. So that's my pick.
What album was that?
The last one.
Okay, yeah.
It's a good record. It's a real good record. Well, since Mike picked Type O Negative, I got a Type O Negative on my list too. I could have put at least 2 or 3 of them on here, but I went with
Rust.
Yeah,
that's a great one too.
I know it's your favorite one.
I went with Bloody Kisses.
Okay. I thought it was October Rust. I thought that was.
I do love that one though. It's tough. It's a tough call. Bloody Kisses, man. I just love this record. Black Number 1 is one of my favorite songs of all time. Christian Woman's on it. It was so different when I heard that. I'd never heard anything like that either. It had like the goth stuff in it, the creepy keyboards. It wasn't like your old, Jerry Lee Lewis keyboards. It was like earthy sounding and whatever that, that filling space in. It was cinematic. His voice, same thing. Never heard anything like that before. His voice was so deep. And I wasn't the biggest Carnivore guy either when they came, I wasn't really into that. Yeah. But when Type O Negative came out, I was like, wow, it was so different. And I got into them on Bloody Kisses, so I had to go back and, listen to the first 2 or whatever. And I love them too. And I love October Rust's head to head with this. It's it could be one day, one another day. And Dead Again, same thing. Their whole catalog I like. But Bloody Kisses, man, it's just a feel record. It's got so much, and it's one of those things where I don't usually like long songs, but I don't mind it when they do it. It's just different. Yeah, Typo Negative, Bloody Kisses. Damo, what you got next?
Another one, Metallica, and it's probably the one people. It's one that they give shit to, but it's Justice for All. That's my favorite Metallica
Great
record. That's where I
pick.
came in on the
Very
band,
good pick.
and I love the way it sounds. I think the sound of the record was ahead of its time. A lot of the new metal bands in the 90s kind of went for that same drum sound, and everything is really dry. The songs are brutal sounding. I thought black, like they just sound so mean, like really, really pissed on this record. I
think they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's real pissed
first
off.
Album. Yeah.
That's a real pissed off feeling.
Cliff, and yeah. And again, just like some of the other ones I said, it's the memories that come along with it is why I chose it.
Yep. Mike D.
My next one, and this is I probably got into this later on, maybe early in the mid 2000s. Frank Black's self-titled album. Now, I'm a Pixies fan, and I don't have any Pixies on the list for some reason, man. This and even going back to like artist solo albums where they usually just suck. And I checked out some of his later ones. It's not as good. This is just a fun album, and it's got some great riffs. It's got great songs. It really jams. It moves. It never really slows down. I can listen to this all the time.
For me, I'm going to stick with Dame's band, Metallica. I love so much of their stuff, but I'm going to have to go with Master of Puppets. That was the first one I owned. It's debatable of being probably the greatest metal record of all time, I think. Especially thrash record, if you want, even if you consider that thrash now, right? At least that was thrash back for us,
that time.
It's got Master of Puppets on it. I think it is, yeah. It's got Master of Puppets on it. The Thing That Should Not Be, Sanitarium, Damage Incorporated, Leopard Messiah, Orion. There's just so much good stuff on that record, and Master of Puppets is one of those songs, just like like Living Color, Cult of Personality. I was telling Mike the other day, that's still a song that stands the test of time. That song still sounds great today. I still think it's a great song. Master of Puppets is in that category for me. It's still a great song. Yep, Metallica Master of Puppets is on that list for me. What do you got, Damo?
This one's a bit of a dark horse for me. This is it's an AC/DC record, and it's one that most people wouldn't expect. It's my favorite AC/DC record, probably. Flick of the Switch.
Yeah.
It's their third one with Brian Johnson. It's a raw record, sort of them trying to go back to their the early kind of like raw production, and the songs just fucking rock, man. They're just like basic, like fucking like beer chugging hard rock songs, I would listen when I one point I was like running a lot, jogging, and every time this was always my running song, just because of the pace of it. The tempo was like the pace that I would run in was perfect, and just like a great straight up, no bullshit rock album.
Yep. Mike D.
I'm going to go with a good old classic, Queensryche Operation Mindcrime.
There you go.
And I just remember reading about this back in the Hit Parader and all those old rock magazines, even before it came out. And I remember when it came out, I just bought it without ever hearing Queensryche before. And this just blew my mind. And I could still listen to this till today,
Yeah, sticking with Queensryche. It's on my list. It's on my list. Operation Mindcrime's up there. Empire's close too, but I went with Operation. Man, same thing. Never heard anything like it. That guy's voice, I was like, wow. It wasn't too much at that point. The earlier stuff, he was a little higher.
Best concept record ever.
Best, my favorite concept record too. So good, man. So good. They evidently made a career out of that and the Empire record. That's pretty much where their window. Yeah, I mean, it's so good. I was obsessed with this record. I was really obsessed with this record. Like Jeff Tate was my dude. Like that was my singer at that point. Like there was nobody better. The storyline was great. I wish they put out a movie for it, which they always teased about, but never happened. The storyline was so good. Yeah, I mean, there's so many good songs on it too. Yeah, I love the record. I really do. Damo, what you got?
Next record is New Kids on Block.
Yeah, step one.
I'm joking. Try to say that with a straight face.
It's insane. Come on.
Iron Maiden, Number the Beast.
There you go.
Man, top to bottom, man, just great album. I love the way it sounds. Classic metal album, one of the best, I think, and love everything about it. The album cover and how I got it is I've always heard about Iron Maiden, but I remember when I was a kid in school, I used to always draw like these pictures of like castles, draw pictures of castles and like an army like rushing the castle with shooting like bow and arrows. Like I would make like this whole friggin' scenery and I showed it and I showed it to my buddy and he was like, "Oh, that looks like reminds me of Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast album cover." I was like, "Oh, really? I never heard Iron Maiden, so maybe so let me check this out." So I went to the record store and I saw the cassette tape. I was like, "Yeah, it does kind of look like sort of something that I was drawing and shit." So I wound up buying it, and it became I became really into Maiden because of that. Yeah, I mean, there's a good one that I picked. Yeah, thanks to my buddy who recommended that, Mike Russin, Andy Russin's brother. He's the one who told me about it. So,
Mike D, what you got?
All right, man. I'm going with another goodie for some people. I'm going to go with Ween's The Mollusk.
Who?
And Ween.
It's a good record.
Ween?
And Ween. W-E-E-N.
Ween. Oh,
yes. Okay. And yeah, a lot of people take this band as a joke band and because they have a lot of comedy and stuff in it. This album, man, this could change your view on it. While it still has a lot of comedy in it, like just the structures of the songs themselves, it's just such a fun album to listen to. It's like if I'm in a bad mood, this is something I'll throw on. It'll cheer me up. So yeah, check this one out. It's definitely a great album.
On the next episode of Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes, cheery Mike D. Oh man, I'm gonna go with the Cult, Sonic Temple.
That's a good one.
That's one of my favorite records, man, of all time. I like the Cult, but this is the only record that I like top to bottom, and I'm like, every song's great.
That's a good one.
It's such a good record, man.
That could go on my list once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, the production's great. That's a Bob Rock record, right? That's a Bob Rock record. Production's great. Did Eric Singer play drums on that record?
On the demos. So if you get the anniversary edition, I think it was like the 30th or 35th or whatever.
Right.
There's demos and he's on a few of them.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was on it or not, like, the main thing. But yeah, I mean, what a great record. Man, his voice is just, it's like a better Jim Morrison. It's so good. The tunes are great. They're just great. I mean, one of my favorites, absolutely one of my favorite records. What do you got, Damo?
Well, speak of the devil, I'm going with the Doors, LA Woman.
Oh, here you go.
I was big into the Doors, man, when I was in high school, and I still listen to them, a few times a year. I'll put them on. LA Woman, I thought was like a really, really good album, and it's a shame because it was like their last one with him before
that was more like a rockin' album, right?
It was, yeah. So it would have been cool to see where they went after this with direction, because it was definitely more like stripped back rock. They had a real bass player play on the record, because all the other ones, Ray Manzarek would play the bass
on the keyboard. Yeah.
On the keyboard. So this one they actually had a real bass player who was Elvis's bass player, and the songs were kind of like they didn't really have too much of that carnival sound. It was more like stripped down, bluesy hard rock. And I mean, Lover Madly's on there.
Great song.
L.A. Woman, Rotterdam Storm, and there's like some real straight up blues tunes on there too. But yeah, I thought it was a great one, and I still listen to it. A few times a year I put it on.
Mike D.
Going with another Cardiacs, man. Got to go with Sing to God Part 1 and 2 double album.
Double album.
I mean, this one kind of starts off like, if you're new to it, it's going to like, you're going to be like, what the fuck? So by like maybe like the 5th or 6th track, it kind of settles in, and what's kind of, what you're in for at this point. And it kind of settles in, and it's just such a great album. And it's 2. It's a double.
Damien's like, it's double. I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know who you're talking about in stereo for Damien.
Double dipping too.
But this is just like,
total double dip.
Psychedelic, just rock fury, man. I can't even explain it. It just oozes. It just oozes with goodness.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with, you can't deny this band, Black Sabbath, Master Reality. Got to have Sabbath on here. One of the greatest, or the greatest probably band of all time as far as metal goes.
Mm-hmm.
Master Reality, man. So many good songs. Children of the Graves on it. Lord of this World. There's just so many good songs, so many great riffs on the song. And I know it's like, 8 songs. It's great. It's a banger from top to bottom. Ozzy sounds great. Yeah, love this record. My favorite Sabbath record. Damo, what you got?
I have Alice in Chains, Dirt.
There you go.
I always liked it even when it came out, but maybe think like the past 10, 15 years, it's really, really become one of my favorite albums of all time. I mean, top to bottom, it's great. Great guitar playing. The vocals are amazing. Killer musicianship all around. Better songs, production. I mean, it's a greatest hits record to me.
It is. It's a masterpiece.
That's all you need.
It is. Mike D.
I am going with Faith No More, Angel Dust.
There you go. I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
I mean, you got The Real Thing. I mean, that was a great album. That was their big breakout album. But this is just something else, man. This took me a few listens to even like the album, because I kind of hated it when I first heard it, because it was nothing like The Real Thing. But this is just one of those albums, man, from beginning to end. It just takes you on one of them trips. Some of it's strange, some of it's just incredible. But it's a good journey. I'll put it that way.
I'm going to go with Iron Maiden, Live After Death. It's just so good. It's just, I mean, that's maybe the ultimate live album besides the Kiss Lunch. There's probably like 3 on the top live records.
Probably the best one from the 80s, best live album.
Oh, man. Scream for Me, Long Beach. I mean, the sayings that came out of that.
Mm-hmm.
What a great record. Okay, Damo, what you got?
Yeah, my last one is one of my favorite bands is Vane, and the album No Respect. It's their debut record, and they have 7 albums, and they're all great. They're all really good, especially like the last 2 or 3. I mean, a lot of people are only familiar with the debut record, but I would suggest checking out definitely like the last 2 are just amazing, and in the same style of the first album. But it's just they were so different. They were kind of darker than all the other bands. Like, everybody was all happy and shit, doing all that stuff, but they kind of had that look, but they didn't sound like that. And all their songs were like real, like kind of like sleazy and like minor keys and shit, and just like different than the Pack, and it still holds up. And a lot of people who aren't even into that style of music just love that record, just because it's so good.
His voice was different too. He had a different style.
Yeah, they were all different sounding voice. The songs were it was just really cool, the way how they were.
Mike D, your 10th pick.
10th pick, Beatles White Album.
There you go. Yeah.
Great album. I love this one since I probably started listening to music. So this has been with me that long. And classic. And the funny thing about it actually has 2 of my least favorite Beatles songs on it, which is Back in the USSR and Your Birthday.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Shitload
It's
of
a great
songs on
album.
that record too.
Yeah,
There's a
there
lot of
is.
songs on that record. I'm gonna go with Alice in Chains Dirt. It's one of my favorite records of all time. Wow, it's just pretty much perfect from top to bottom. It's definitely their best record in my opinion. So many good songs: Rooster, Them Bones, Rain When I Die, Damn the River. I mean, there's just so many good. Angry Chair, Wood.
Yeah.
There's so many good songs on that record. So yeah, Dirt would definitely make my list. All right, so before we wrap up here, you're able to sneak one more record without nobody looking. Nobody's seeing, Dame, that you're taking one more record, Dame. What would you sneak in?
Well, it's got to be the one that I deleted off my list. So that was Shout at the Devil. I removed that.
It's a shout at the devil. We're sneaking it in.
Yeah. That one's going up my ass crack.
We're sneaking that one in, Mike D.
Are we going together on this trip, or are we separate?
We're all separate. Yeah,
We're
all
separate.
by ourselves.
Okay, I'm taking Metallica and Justice for All.
There you go.
You're trying to steal mine. Jump on.
If we
mine
were
now.
going together, I'd be like, Damien, let me borrow that one. But
yeah. I think I'm going to sneak on. Man, I think I'm going to sneak on King Diamond in the Eye. I think that's what I'm going with. Just to round it out a little bit. Even though, man, it could be so many more. There's Megadeth, Motley Crue. There's so many good stuff I could float on. But yeah, man, Motley, that's a tough one too. Maybe I'll sneak on a Motley when nobody's looking. I'll be greedy and put 2 on there. And I'd probably pick Shout also. So that's what we got. Let us know what your Desert Island picks are. Mixtapes, Tasty Cakes. We'll see y'all next week.